deep blue, unending flow of the open sky looks down at me as I sit with folded feet upon this beige window-side sofa. No clouds around to cover the depth that endlessly calls to my heart. If I am not wrong, this could be the same absence of clouds that to some signals a brighter day. Yet with such trails of thought, have we so easily eluded ourselves to the truth that within the heaviness of these clouds lays a promise of rain and even more brighter days ahead, with their abundance of both food and unending joy. So even as I stare into the deep blue openness above, through my dusty windows, do I notice the absence of the eastern wind as the trees sway remains absent, save for that only caused by the rumble of heavy trucks along the tarmac road nearby. With such depth in reflection, are my thoughts drawn back to the now subsiding 2007 post-election violence, across into a sorrowful 2008 with peace talks backed by one Kofi Annan and many other emissaries trickling into the country, even as most persons remain displaced from the very places they had so grown to call home. In the midst of all these happenings, did a little lad's dreams look lost in the wave of the same violence? And this, right here, seemed like the stroke that broke the camel's back as Denis stood trapped in the village, even as funds played limiting, in addition to a cross-county inaccessibility due to rampant violence previously plaguing the land. Though this would seem to the common eye as a wave tossed and vaporized in the midst of the sea, still, a ray of hope dangled in the horizons as semi-calm dawned upon the country and schools resumed in the first quarter of the year. Now with Denis's dreams seeming lost in the vision according to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 2 and 3 looking like a lie, so much drifted through the wind. Still, the fact that the vision was written upon tablets meant that it remained engraved and yet to come to pass. Yet before I take rein of this narration and make it my own, instead will I allow Denis to do so. But before he embarks onto it, allow me to say, blessed days and pleasant nights. Welcome. Now welcome to the little dreams that lay bound in visions yet seem set far from sight. Welcome to the aspirations of a lad who, though tossed to the winds, and with a now realized and discovered journey of his life, despite all odds seeming bent against him, does he pick up his rags, as few as they may seem, and forges through to attain his failing purpose. Now welcome to your story, welcome to my story, and welcome to our story. Now as norms seem to take reign of day, and with Denis now back in school, he, for a moment gives up hope of ever shooting a video to his initial song and desired hit, Forza. Lectures, however, have not lined up well with him till now, and though he necessarily doesn't fail in his exams, his attentions and heart's desires seem so far drawn from the classroom. With his hands, as the rest of us burn the midnight oil to get desired A's instead of passes, he, on the other hand, beat away at his creative lyrics and songs. And this didn't play badly for him because, having attended his first shoot at Calif Records, he now knew what was needed for song production. Now with a little student's loan to spare, and in union with two other friends he fondly remembers as Limon and Tonita, they managed to acquire a few crude yet quite handy recording equipment. At this point, he goes on to hilariously illustrate how he convinced his mother, who by now had gotten part of her pension money, to chip in some funds which he used to reassemble quite a handy desktop computer, while Tonita on the other hand availed an analog mixer, and Limon proved quite ingenious with their acquisition of a microphone. Now despite other students' complaints of buzzing noises in the then Jomo Kenyatta University Hall 6's 4th floor residences, To this terrific trio was a studio born, and nothing could crush their dreams by now. Now, with one of the trio from the then Christian Union hinting of an oncoming CU concert presentation, the trio worked on an outfit that would suit such a gig. With a microphone at hand, the mixer ran desktop in addition to a beautiful yet low-grade Audacity sound recording app and Fruity Loops digital audio workstation. They come up with a presentation that is not really up to par. Yet, as initially noted, there is no coincidence in life, and the Almighty God, as we know, sure works all things together for the good of those who love Him, for His glory, as reported in Scripture according to Saul's letter to the Romans, chapter 8 and verse 28. The appearance at this concert allows Denis a chance to feature in the oncoming CU play called The Choice, one that sees a portion of the shoot depicting campus life done in his cubicles. A cubicle in which, with a desire to depict as a complete studio, did they pimp up with their acquisition of a piano from an SDA pianist friend called Pascal. Talk of faking it till you make it. I do not know if this would work as an advice today, yet in my opinion, does God's grace play a bigger role in all this? Now, as the heat of the day's heavy work subsided, here comes Rafton of Lampstand Records, alongside J Blessing of the then Link Media Studios and emissary with him. Quite a trio of music and video producers to grace this now quiet yet ambitious campus boy's room, spending the night in his room. If these ain't God's grace, then I know not what depiction you would see instead. As the night waves in, and J Blessing having spotted and gotten an interest in Denis's Fruity Loops Studio V6, he does a few checks on it, and with new lyrics about that night, does a recording of Denis's new song. On this song's perfection after is Denis called to his studio, then at Umoja. Despite J Blessing having an upcoming Willie Paul on board with his bongo renditions, Denis gets his recording of PePa song done. Quite a dub this is, and with a promise of a video to be shot, this sure looks like the light at the end of the tunnel. Yet, if only he's able to get nice clothes and shoes for an outfit and also fetch 10,000 shillings to foot a few logistical bills. Denis' light at the end of the tunnel, however, soon seems to be turning into total darkness as school comes to a close, and he, having finished his undergraduate education by now, cannot access the regular student loan. Now, attempts at reaching him from J Blessings to do the video shoot seem futile, and with time passing, does J Blessings' aspirations change and focus goes into video production, a venture that doesn't make any sense to Denis till a few years after. Now, as Denis holds onto his dream of even shooting his first video for PePa, the village doesn't seem to hold any kindness towards him, as the likes of Willie Paul seem to flourish and rise in their musical careers in the big city. Now, a few coins gathered from his now teaching job back in the village afford him transport money back into the city to live at his brother's newly acquired one-bedroom unit while he was out of town for work. Did I add that this arrangement only came into place after Denis's mother pleaded with and convinced his elder brother on the same? A plea he only agreed to if Denis promised to let go of his music recording dream and look for a real paying job. A deal he agreed to with his purpose well hid in his heart. And yet, the good and obedient lad that he is, does he go on to do both online and physical job applications. Now, with an undergraduate degree to his name, acquiring one wouldn't be so hard now, would it? To his disappointment, and as purpose would thus have it, he makes hundreds of applications, but nothing shows for it. In addition to this frustration, his brother's missus comes into the house and having to sleep on the couch and with no money to even put food on the table. An exit plot seems quite plausible at this time. After convincing his elder brother that he had a better chance out there, a friend and ally living in a single room in Soweto slums comes in handy. From this quiet yet reflective abode does hunger lead Denis to the Caltex Choma Zone area, and he supposedly comes across a small advert for an art school on a window glass. Now, after a long yearning to even get just an appointment for an interview with no promise of a job, this right here quite looked like something worth a try. After contacting the given number and with the opening of Bobea Art Center, to Denis's dismay, they weren't hiring, but instead they needed art students. Having nothing to lose at this point, our young trader offers to do any job around for even a small tip-off of 50 to 150 shillings daily. As he tells of these unprecedented happenings, I, for a moment, wish that had I known of all these before, then would I have been of some help. Yet the truth eludes me at this point, for were it so, then would I have deterred Denis from his ultimate purpose, and my role as the sketcher in this journey would sure have lost its meaning. It is dark outside by now, and the warmth to our tea seems to have dropped down. But gazing into Denis's stare into the dark outside, as he gets lost in his narration, is warmth enough to listen on. Doing a Facebook page for Bobea Art Center, a platform he had previously withdrawn from due to its unelicited bitter bile from constantly seeing other peers seemingly progress vis-a-vis his depreciating state, was the mountain breaker for Denis. Through this platform did he raise Bobea's eligibility when facing art, landing them an exhibition that brought great earnings for the art school. His poetic attributes and their inclusion in the art pieces on Facebook did the trick, raising his earnings even as he diverged to graphics and created a niche for himself. This takes him back to his initial musical desire, as with his earnings increase from graphics and printing, is he able to acquire his own place and start music production on a low. Now he hits up my heart to a laughter when he points out this one time a young lad, all excited about singing, came and paid a whole of 8 shillings to have his song done. Remembering his own plight before, Denis doesn't hesitate to do this. I mean, only a trader through a given path would best understand the perils that lie along the same path, right? A given twist comes into the scene at this point as curiosity builds as to his dealings in this single room from his inquisitive neighbors. Yet, if the adage still holds true that curiosity killed the cat, then I know not, as this one curious lass comes by and instead of being killed is captured. From this capture, a baby comes on board into Denis's life. Looking at his earnings, is he in derision as to what to do, since his recording was not much to talk about, though still better than where I started at. As grace with us have it, little addition comes with blessings, and Denis lands a job with an amazing mission along the leafy Limuru Road. A few months in, Denis could now afford to purchase the beautiful monitors he had previously seen at Caliph Records and then at Link's production studio in Umoja. He no longer would have to rely on his Logitech subwoofers for unsifted sound, but was now sure-headed for good music production. Vision, his young son, walks in with an amazing voice compared to that of his father, and as Denis talks to him, it is easy to tell the joy in his heart as he directs him to go chat with Mama and allow us to finish up. The music studio we are now setting in, an extension of his now bigger house compared to the single ground floor he began from at Kisumundogo in Donholm Estate, is a sure depiction of what resilience and a patient wait and work towards the written vision can surely bring. Now with the vision brought to completion and Habakkuk's prophecy fulfilled, I am inclined not to add more or even remove from this narration, as I remain as nothing but a sincere sketcher and messenger to this great news of God's grace in the life of a now amazing artist and music producer we now call Denis Music Creations. Now as I come up with lessons of resilience as borrowed from Denis's journey, allow me to bow out as I request that you feel free to share your own stories by contacting me through my social media pages of Instagram or even Facebook. Yet until the next time, my dear traders, and hoping that we both traded, enjoyed, and learned from what's your story with Denis in the fulfillment of a vision, please remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more juicy and heart-rending sketches. So, stay blessed and stay safe. It's PePa, the sketches of life.